Welcome to another chapter of In the Keep podcast. I'm your very own prophet of the drowned god, TheMotherload. This show is all about the world of arena first-person shooters, classic FPS games, their legacies, their lineage, and the people who keep that world turning. These are the players, the developers, the streamers, the influencers. It is the will of the drowned god Cathala that our communities band together in her cathedral to frag and gib one another into oblivion for all eternity. Welcome back. Really happy to have you guys here for another freaking awesome guest. This episode is HumanBones. He's a longtime Doom player. He's been playing since he was very, very young, and is he was a competitor and organizer for the International Doom League for a while, and is now the founder of the multiplayer Doom League, and he's organizing that stuff. Really cool, innovative game modes these guys play. I think you'll hear a lot about that, and we also talk about just what it's like what the history of multiplayer Doom has been and how it's evolved over the years. Lots of just info about how he deals with running a community and bad people and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to say bad people. Everybody has a good person inside of them. Whatever. The point being, I really am excited to shed a little light on this game because it's been under talked about on this podcast, and I personally, I would like to disclose that I'm not super familiar myself with multiplayer Doom. It's not my forte, but I was really happy to have this opportunity to learn a few things, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. So without any further ado, let's get in the keep with HumanBones. Grab your pants. We're on In the Keep podcast. I've got HumanBones from the Multiplayer Doom Federation. What's up, man?
How's it going? I'm doing pretty good.
I'm okay. You don't have to ask how I'm doing though, because no one gives a shit. No, none of the listeners care how I'm doing. It's all about the guests on the show. So
I'm not sure that the listeners are going to care what I'm doing either. But hey,
I mean, some people like Doom, man, and what you're doing is really cool. I think it's interesting. Like, I'm used to kind of like going across multiple different games, but in your case, like having a central focus of just one game, it must be less stressful, I would imagine, but B, it's like it gives you a lot more scope, and you're probably more knowledgeable generally about your game than I am about anything that I do. So it'll be. Go ahead.
It's interesting because it's such Doom is multiplayer Doom anyway. Is such an insular community. Mm-hmm. A lot of us have been around for 15, 20 years, and we've known each other that long. Met up in person, that kind of thing. So, it's just always been that way. Like, we have other games that we play, but it's sort of the conversation always sort of revolves around Doom. So, you're right. It's not weird to us that we just focus on Doom, but I guess maybe to people who play more modern games, maybe it's strange, like, why are you guys just focused on this game that, came out before I was alive or whatever. So, but yeah, it's a very insular kind of community.
Yeah, Doom came out the year before I was born, I think. 94, right? 93?
Yeah, 93.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 years before I was actually born. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know, man. I've always liked the idea of Doom. I didn't try it until I was 20 years old, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on my honeymoon the first time I played it because I wanted to buy Doom 2016. I was like, I'm going to buy that game, and I bought it, but I was on vacation, and the hotel internet wasn't fast enough to download the full game. But Steam hit me up with like, hey, if you like this game, maybe you'll like these other games, and I was able to download OG, like original like I want to say like Ultimate Doom and Doom 2 and Master Levels of
Oh yeah.
Doom for like
Yep.
a little or nothing, really fast on really shitty internet, and then I just sat there and played those the whole time.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like it seems really simple, but I don't know. There's something about the simplicity in it that makes it more fun than I don't know, trying to figure out what puzzle or how to get out of a pyramid in like the Legend of Zelda or something. So there's just
Oh, yeah.
something very simple and straightforward about just shoot and kill someone.
I I think it's a fucking amazing game. Like all of them, especially Doom 2 for sure is like one of the best
Yeah.
single player games of all time as far as I am concerned. I went back and just recently played back through it again, and my little brother who's like 16, I got him playing it, and it's timeless. The game is completely timeless, especially with like with modern mods, brutal Doom, beautiful Doom, stuff like that. Like you've 3-dimensional plus M look shooting and all that. It's I don't know, man. There's something just absolutely timeless and beautiful about Doom that just really watching my younger brother pick up that game and just go and was more excited about it than I've ever seen him get excited about like Call of Duty or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, all my friends, I mean, they knew kind of like, and I'm sure we'll touch on this, but the regularly scheduled Doom games that I would have to play, and there'd be people, they'd be in the background like listening to me yell at teammates or something, and they're over there playing Call of Duty and the Crackdown or Grand Theft Auto, stuff like that, and they could just never understand the obsession. But like once you get yourself so involved in it, it's like a drug. You can't
Yeah.
just stop. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Like my dad showed me. So I was born in '92. So by the time that I learned about Doom, my dad had been playing it for a while. So I was like 5 or 6, and sitting there watching him play like on AOL dial-up, and like that was my first introduction to it. So it's literally been a part of my life for over 20 years. And every time there's just this long running thing in the community where people quit, and some people do legitimately quit, disappear, and then never come back again. But it's like someone will say, "Well, I'm done with multiplayer Doom. I've had enough of the community and all the people," and then they're back like 2 months later because it's just like I said, it's like a drug. You just can't stop yourself. So
Oh, dude, what if that person in the background right there was a serial killer and you had no idea they were coming in the room?
well, then I guess you'd have to upload this video to YouTube or something. You'd have to help me out of that one.
No, I think to your point, the game's been around for so freaking long, and a lot of kids these days, or I want to say kids these days, I'm one of them, but like younger people don't realize quite the impact that Doom had. Like for instance, I'm reading Masters of Doom for the first time right now,
Mhm.
and just that people don't realize, I guess now that it revolutionized not just games but like computer science. Like people had never ever seen anything like Doom when it came out. It was just completely new, similar in many ways to Wolfenstein 3D, which they had already done,
Yes.
but like not with that scale, not with the abilities, the things that you could do, the just the atmosphere in general, like something so blatantly violent. And I I don't really know any better way to put it other than just to say that it was revolutionary. And then the multiplayer aspect, even what was it, DWANGO was the original one before
Yeah.
internet kind of became popular. Do you have any experience with that?
Uh, I mean, maybe that's how my dad played, and that's how I watched him play.
Hmm.
I don't have like any personal experience. There were so the main multiplayer port when I started, which it was sort of the main one for a while, was Z-Daemon. So when I started playing Z-Daemon, it was like 2003. So around that time, like a lot of people that used to play Dwango sort of showed up, and so they started this clan, and it was called Dwango United. And so we used to all the time, don't mess with people from Dwango and this like ancient Doom power and skills and all stuff like that. But, it's definitely one of those games where you can like you reach a certain skill level and even if it's like 1996 skill level, you can come back in 2019 and it still applies. Kind of, it's really strange. Where, I try to go back and play like Mario Party or something, and I have no coordination with my hands, and my eyes are fucked, and so. But yeah, DWANGO was really kind of like the beginning. It was like just a server for people to play on. So it was kind of like the original place where people could play.
Yeah. Another couple. Actually, I'm going to go on two separate tangents.
I tend to do that, so don't worry.
So yeah, first of all, Doom was essentially the original of the like multiplayer online shooters that didn't technically exist on a large scale like that before then, and so yeah, and that has continued to today. That's still what you guys are doing, and another aspect of that the other tangent I wanted to go on is that the technology that the game was intended to run on is not the technology of today. Like, it's so much easier to do, and I think that it's weird. On one hand, you would think that would make it easier. People would be like really into like, absolutely, lots more people would play Doom, but at the same time, it's such an insular community and console commands, and it's like it's not necessarily up to modern UI that it doesn't necessarily translate to a lot of kids just like flocking towards that game when they could be playing, I don't know, like Rainbow Six or something along those lines. And I see the same thing going across Quake 2, especially. Quake 3 gets a little more doable, and then like Quake Live is when it really became friendly for just anyone can pop in, and it's not difficult to do.
Yeah, I mean, so it's weird because the community was really big. The thing that happened was up until 2004, there really wasn't any capture the flag involved in the multiplayer community. So once that came out, it was like it was like a meteorite hit, and all the hundreds of people started playing, and it just became this huge community. But with that, there were other source ports. Like Z-Daemon tended to cater more towards the old school type of play. And then you had something like Skulltag, which, it involved like grenade launchers or, a minigun and stuff like that. So the community very slowly over the years started to split. And then, there's personalities that come into play and everything. So, but because of the fact that you're right, Doom was such a revolutionary game, and there was mapping that came in, making different map sets that like go way beyond anything that anyone could have imagined when they actually made Doom. I mean, there's some amazing stuff out there, and it took on a life of its own. And I think I think that the ability to grow on the original game that came out is the reason why we're all still here. I mean, there's still a lot of us, but I think maybe the multiplayer community has suffered the most. There's still all the people that like to sit around and talk about Doom, but the multiplayer community has taken some hits over the years, and it's really gone and kind of like a roller coaster ride. So I mean, that's a conversation that we could probably have for the entire hour, but yeah, it's really interesting experience, and not something that I really think could happen in another game these days. Like I don't think that you could create a community like this with a Call of Duty or anything like or a Fortnite or whatever you might want to say. So
it'll never be like the tight insular community of people who like. Yeah. There's something about, and this is kind of John Carmack's gift to us all, even though it wasn't intended for him because he didn't give a shit about multiplayer or anything.
No.
But it is interesting that you mentioned the mapping community as well. Like that, just the community is. It feels like we're not only involved in playing the game, but also involved in like developing the game or using the game to fit our needs, which doesn't exist in most multi-platform games. A best example would be like Quake Champions. A lot of people are very upset that you can't map and mod and set up your own servers in Quake Champions. But then the retort to that is, well, do you really have the computing power to make a game or a map for a game that large anyway? So, and then the question is, do you want the game to be that beautiful, or would you prefer it to just look, old school and work, which we see with Dusk, a lot more similar to, Doom. You can use like Trenchbroom, and eventually,
Yeah.
hopefully within the next couple of months, maybe a year, everybody will just be like porting over Trenchbroom maps to Dusk.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the key too. Is I feel like things started to really explode when that ability came through for like for teams of mappers to get together and say like this is kind of a goal for the project that we have. CTF maps in particular took on a life of their own. I mean, there are CTF maps that were made right when CTF came out in March of 2004 that get played every single day still. And I mean, it just the amount of maps and the amount of WADs out there, it's insane. And some of them, like I said, some of them are really amazing. But I think that's like the secret ingredient to getting the community. I don't want to say. I mean, I think it was the real catalyst for how expanded everything got, because you were never bored of playing the same thing over and over again. You had people that maybe they didn't know how to map, like myself. I can't map. I just didn't have the patience for it. But I played enough that I could give feedback, and you really felt like you were sort of part of the whole thing. And then you got to develop different strategies and play different game modes and stuff depending on the different maps that you had. So that really opened up like a huge amount of fun and different experiences that you could have. So I think if you, with Dusk, like you were saying, if you can get that ability to port over things and kind of grow that way, that's gonna open up a lot of doors, I think.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe like just in my server alone, the excitement that happens when people realize that, oh, we can, like, this is a new game, and it's amazing. It's very similar to Quake 1. If you haven't, I don't think you said you hadn't played it, but the excitement for having a game that people can just say, oh dude, I have like this whole group of Quake 2 maps that would be amazing for this game, and I'm just going to port them all right into the game as soon as it comes, like as soon as I have the ability. And that kind of excitement, like it makes for a lot of great fun. If you watch Doom events, are very I don't want to say guilty, but this happens a lot, especially Quake 1. Like if you go back and watch QH LAN, things, big events like that, and the community can just go in and make a custom map skin to like match their event, or to like have the clans teams on it, on the walls or something, anything to make the game feel more immersive to the player. I think is why the arena first person shooters in general are so freaking, they're not popular, but they're the player base is it holds it so deeply in their heart that we're just not going anywhere. And there'll always be a certain type of person who does gravitate towards this community and these types of games.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about multiplayer Doom specifically, probably the most popular thing that happened was the formation of. There are several different leagues, but so Capture the Flag became like the litmus test for how good you are as a player, and being able to. First, it was clans. You'd play with all your friends. You'd do clan wars and stuff like that, and then that sort of turned into this thing called the International Doom League, which stole a lot of, or not stole, but took inspiration from the NFL, the NBA, where you'd have a draft with captains and you'd choose teams, and that opened up this whole thing, because like clans hated each other, and so now you could have like people from 4 different clans on a team or something playing together and having to learn how to play with each other, and so with that comes the opportunity for people to make like new maps and again formulate new strategies, and it was just like kind of like this this process that just kind of went on its own, and then it snowballed, and it was just autonomous, maybe is the word I'm looking for. But it was never ending, and the International Doom League went for like 15, 16 seasons, which there were 2 seasons a year. So I mean, that's 7 years worth of people grinding and playing, and new maps and new strategies, and the International Doom League then became the World Doom League, and so that added like another 5 years. So it's just been a wild ride. But I mean, I think you need stuff like that, otherwise, I mean, there's a new Call of Duty game that comes out every year, and I stopped keeping track a long time ago. Like I'm still stuck in zombies or whatever. So like it's just. But here we are, still playing Doom 2. So you need to have that ability to get yourself involved in the community and get involved in the game. And so that's kind of on what the track is that we're on now, basically.
Something interesting about, I'm going to call them Iddle and Whittle because I like the way that sounds. But yeah, International Doom League and World Doom League is it for. Much like maybe compare it to a UFC or like some kind of fighting movie. Where there's like a tournament, but you get different styles from different clans that are insular, and then when they meet up together, you see how different people play very differently, and you find out what's the best way, or you learn from each other and create a whole new style that's even better. You see that crazily in Quake, especially the big one be like Europe versus the United States. People play cross seas, open arena. I don't know if you've ever heard of or played that game, but they play across the sea all the time, and they have mods like projectile delag and all that to help them do it. And they their style of play. I see open arena players pick up Quake Champions for the first time and immediately play like it's amazing how good they are. They're just so much better at Quake than most Quake 3 people who just sat around and played that game for a long time. But their skill set translates across to multiple different facets of arena shooters. And I think that's incredible. And I can't even imagine what it was like to see for the first time after having a few years of seeing Doom just on your own computer playing death matching, or locally or with your clan or whatever, and then to see for the first time, oh, this is what other people have been up to. We've been fucking up, man. Yeah.
Well, I find it a lot easier for people that have started in Quake to then come into Doom and do really well. Like, for me, I don't know. I was never any good at Quake because, the way that Doom is presented to you is, there's no free look. You don't look up, you don't look down. So I have always played by that strategy. Like, I have very simple controls. My brain doesn't do well with like having to remember 12 different things, and like I use the scroll wheel for my weapons. I can't do the numbers or whatever.
You still use the scroll wheel?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, I've had the same mouse for. I always say when the mouse dies, that's officially when I'm retiring. At least from playing.
You'll get another one just like it. You'll be like immediately on Amazon trying to find that exact mouse model.
They go for a lot of money now, unless I think they're remaking them. It's the MX512. I don't know if they're going to make that again, but
they'll probably.
I've seen them on Amazon for like $150.
People love that mouse. Like that mouse isn't going anywhere. It shouldn't if they want to make money.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I bought it by accident. I went in, MX500 was the craze for a while. And I was kind of late to the party. I was using like an HP mouse, and my mouse pad was like a clipboard or something. I'm like, well, maybe I should actually invest in a mouse. And then they were out of the MX500, so I got the MX510 or 512, and I've been using it ever since, like, again, like 14 years, something ridiculous like that. But, so my point was, so as Doom evolved, especially with Capture the Flag and the way that maps are made and different height levels and that sort of thing, the rocket jumping, shooting a rocket down, shooting yourself across the map, being able to look up and down and sort of snipe people like that, all these little things that added to the meta of online Doom kind of like went by me. I could still sort of compete in my own way, but I mean, there's so much stuff. Doom became a lot more like Quake than the other way around. So that's why I think, like, I know a lot of people that started off playing Quake and then they sort of ported themselves to Doom, and it was like, holy shit, this person is the best person, like the best player I've ever seen. Like, they're doing things that they introduced a lot of stuff that I think maybe we didn't know about. So it was really cool to see that, because if you go back and watch the way that we were playing before, it's like, man, we really thought we were good, and we were not good. We're not, like, we suck in comparison to today. So
Did you see? I think it was QuakeCon 2014. It was like the first official like Quake Doom tournament. Yeah, like old school Doom tournament like that. And yeah, those guys were rabid. Were any of your guys involved in that before?
So I almost went. I didn't go. I don't remember why, but so I've known Devastation he came in. I believe he came in second in that tournament. Devastation's actually the one that kind of taught me how to play, in the sense that there are all these little things that I was doing that, someone that is, if I was going to take it seriously, I shouldn't be doing. So he was like, no, you need to fix this. And so I've known him forever. And the person who won, I've known him too. The person who came in third, Demon Sphere, who's since passed away, I've met him on a few occasions as well in person. So yeah, I knew a lot of people. It was a big deal, because we were actually able to use the port Odomex, which was created by people that I've known, a lot of people that were in my clan from way back. It was kind of created for political reasons, and then it sort of turned into something else that became, it found its little niche in the community. So it was cool that, like, Odomex got to be the thing that people played the tournament on. So that was a really cool experience that I hear they might be repeating again this year, something Doom related at QuakeCon.
This is the year of Doom at QuakeCon. I'll be there.
Okay.
Any listeners want to hit me up, I'll be there. I don't know if we're going to have jerseys or what, but you'll see a CK logo somewhere. Just come up and mess with. I think Violent Heart's going to be in a wheelchair. I'll be pushing him around. You can't miss us. Yeah, it's the year of Doom. It will be most. I don't want to say mostly. It's going to be a lot of Doom this year, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how especially just like the lands go. I could almost care less about the major tournaments. I'm interested to see just people going bananas.
Yeah.
To get together and play the game. And it's going to be in Texas. It's going to be freaking at the Gaylord Arena. People are probably going to get pushed into the Riverwalk, which I just became aware of.
I mean, usually when it comes to lands and Doom, there's a lot of drinking involved, so I can see that happening.
Yeah, I don't even know if you're technically allowed to just walk around drinking, but I'm sure everybody's just going to be sneaking it into cups, and there'll be
would you like some of my Sprite?
Yeah, people will be doing drugs in their rooms, cocaine. I don't know. There's going to be some angry motherfuckers, I'm sure. So
yeah, I mean, based on my experience, I'm sure someone's going to be doing cocaine somewhere.
I don't know. None of my business what you do in your own hotel room.
Either.
So multiplayer Doom Federation. How did you become involved, and how did it get started?
Well, so I was there. Basically, I was there from the beginning of the International Doom League.
IDL. We're calling it
IDL. So we would call it IDL. Just
I know.
But I like IDL. IDL's pretty cool. So beginning of that, there was sort of a small group of people that kind of shaped the way that the league was going to go, and it grew. At one point, there were like 70 people signing up to a season. So the season would last for. At the beginning, it would last for like 3 months, and then people were like, "Well, I don't want to commit to playing every week for seriously for 3 months," and so we went through a lot of changes. And so around season 9, I actually took over running the IDL, and so I ran it for a couple years, and then it was a strange time. Like a lot of port politics happened. The IDL was always on Z-Daemon, but Z-Daemon hadn't updated in like 4 years, and so there were all these just bugs that were happening, and for political reasons, they didn't support the league. The developers of Zdama did not support the league, so we decided we were going to move over to Zandronum, which is a port that regularly updated. But that kind of caused a rift between my team of people running the IDL and the original person that created the IDL. So he created the WDL on Otomex. And so that Whittle, yes, we had Whittle and Iddle. So we had the World Doom League and the International Doom League, and so I had my team of people, and he had his, and so I ran it for like another season, the IDL for another season, and then I just kind of stopped. And so I waited a little while, and then I joined the WDL, and that went really well for quite some time, about 5 years, and then last year things kind of blew up, and I won't lie that I was in the center of the blow up.
You tell the story if you want. Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, jeez. Well, okay. So for as long as I can remember, it's interesting. This is the first time I've talked about it anywhere publicly, so it'll be interesting to see what people have to say.
And the Cube exclusive.
Yes, it is an exclusive. So for as long as I can remember, so there's all these meta things that happen in Doom, and so when you're playing Capture the Flag, for example, and you have a map that has like a sphere on it, there's a timer on it, right? So each round that we would play was a 10-minute round, and the sphere, when you grab it, it shows up after 30 seconds. So you grab it, 30 seconds later it shows up again, you can grab it. So as far as I knew, doing this wasn't something that people disliked, because I play, like my reasoning behind it was I've been playing with a whole ton of people, and no one has ever said anything to me about it. So just defending myself a little bit beforehand. But so the fourth person on my team, so it was 3v3. You had one reserve, essentially. So I would say to the person that was the fourth person, I'd say, hey, stare at where the sphere is, and just when someone takes it, tell us the time that they take it, and then tell us when it's going to come up. So, I honestly, I can see the argument behind why it's a big deal. It's, I just personally, I'd never even thought of it as something that was going to cause an issue. But
so you're saying this is the reserve team, the person who's not actually playing in the game?
The person who's not playing.
Okay.
On my team, yeah. Okay. So I, with some perspective, I understand what the problem was. At the time, though, because, like I said, the community's so insular, nobody was really interested in hearing the reasoning behind it. They just wanted action, and so that caused quite a bit of friction. Long story short, the league ended, and so
shame on you.
Yeah, look, I take, as far as you can take ownership of things that happen in online video games, I take ownership of that, and so there's still a small group of people, I think, that probably feel that I got away with cheating. I don't know, I can't. I honestly, for me, it's like, okay, did I wait 15 years to cheat? Like I don't know, I never thought that would be something that people would think. So that's just my own side of things. But the league ended, and I felt really shitty about it. And I really did, I was like, all right, that's it. Like, Doom's done. The community is just going to fade away. And I just kind of had this idea where, despite the fact that maybe people had some reasons to do this, I felt like I was kind of treated unfairly, and it made me take a step back and think about all the people that, like, when you start to play in these leagues and you have new people that come in, it's really difficult to make a name for yourself and get involved, because all the elite players in the community they're elitists, and they don't like to involve newer players, and so over the years, so many people have just stopped playing or stopped trying to get involved in the community, and so the numbers have just dwindled. And so it made me take a step back, and I mean, maybe it's because I felt like I was treated that way, and that's what I needed to make me kind of like see the bigger picture. But so I wanted to create a league, or at least a group of people where it was accessible to people of all skill levels, and it wasn't just focused on the like elitist player group that they needed to basically be catered to. Like, you would put up with some shitty personalities and some shitty people just because you wanted to get that head count of people playing in your league. And so I was just like, I was so done with all of that at the time.
It's like a Doom Planet Fitness sort of.
Oh, kind of, yeah.
Judgment free zone.
Right, like the end of dodgeball.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. It just started off as a little idea, and maybe a lot of it was driven by what happened, and it just kind of took off. Like, people started joining. People were really interested. I think the cool thing about it was, so the Multiplayer Doom Federation is not dedicated to CTF, like strictly CTF, like Idle and Whittle were, but it's all these different game modes, right? And game modes that nobody ever really put any thought into playing competitively, or having tournaments on. And so over time, so we launched like last July, and since then, like, we've got this whole group of people that I have never talked to before. People that find us from Quake, like you did, and then I just happened to message you one day, to come and play in a tournament, and so we've been talking, and it's just stuff like that. And so we've got this huge following of people that have ideas, and they want to play, and they want to make maps, and so I don't know. This was kind of my idea all along, was just to have this place that's not port specific. We run events on all different ports, so it caters to everybody. Not every event is going to be on the same port, but so it was trying to be an inclusive thing, because Doom became so separated all into these little factions of people, and everyone, you'd be in one place and these people would have their views, and one place these people would have their views, but there was no place for everyone to get together. And so that's really what I wanted to create, was just a large community where we could try and salvage and save multiplayer Doom, which I thought was dying. And so, it's been a really interesting experience. It grew a lot more than I thought it would. We have at least 2 tournaments a month, which for Doom is a lot. I got people to play 3-way CTF, which,
yeah, I saw that.
If you know anything about regular CTF, that's crazy enough. And then getting people to try 3-way CTF seriously, like, that to me, I should retire now, because I was able to do that. Like, to me, that's my accomplishment.
I was going through your server, and I read the 3-way CTF, and I was like, that. I actually had my doubts at that point. I was like, I don't know if I should talk to these guys. That's crazy.
I don't think you were the only one.
No, I mean, it worked out for you. That's cool, man. It's interesting. It's innovative, and I think that's something you offer, is that you're innovating multiplayer Doom for people.
Yeah,
and it's stuff people haven't seen before. Even if it sucks, like even if you try it doesn't work, you still all right, we tried that failed experiment. Let's go back to doing what we know works. Yeah. And
we've done a lot of that so far. Like, so the people that I started this league with were the people that I was running the IDL with at the time, a couple, like 5-6 years ago. So, like, these were people that I trusted, like, that I would, we've been through. I feel like we've been through the trenches together. Like, if we fuck this up, at least we fuck it up as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny, like, we basically started this new thing where we do almost strictly 1-day tournaments, because it lessens the burden on us, which was really the main reason why we stopped doing it in the past, and it keeps the attention of the players a little bit better. So you don't have to commit to generally a whole month-long thing. If you don't want to, you can skip the month-long tournament, sign up for the 1-day thing, then go gallivanting off for 3 weeks, and then you come back, and you might find that, oh, this month they're running a survival tournament, or this month they're running, 12-way CTF or whatever crazy idea we have. So
yeah, and maybe players. I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No.
It's hard to tell with the delay sometimes, but maybe to your point that players will play and then they'll come back to the modes that they like. So if they see that you're doing a CTF, a 3-wave CTF, and they don't like that, they just don't have to play in that event. But they'll want to come back and play in maybe a dual tournament or 4v4, something to that aspect. And you offer a variety to the people, and I think that they appreciate that. And
yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to kind of just go on a short tangent about is that when you say your mission, I guess, with the MDF was to create a place where it's not like just this elitist bullshit zone, and to bring multiple communities together. I think that you and I are exactly in line on that, because that is entirely what Cathalla's Keep was all about in the first place. It was to, first of all, let's get a place where we can play together, find people of equal skill. First of all, just find pickup games, because that is like the worst, especially when you're first starting out and you don't know how like Discord and all that works and everything. It's just like, here's a one-stop shop. At the very least, even if we don't, specialize in the game that you play, I can point you to the right people. If someone came to me at this point and said, I'm really interested in Doom, I can't necessarily offer them Doom tournaments, but I can say I know 3 or 4 different Discords that you can go and get information on that from.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. That's why I'm so glad that I came across your Discord, as well as, what is it, the US Quake community Discord. It's refreshing to see people that have the same, like, I'm not alone in thinking that, how are you going to make a game that's 25 years old continue to survive? Is it by doing the same thing over and over again? Or is it by, introducing things that kind of keep people excited, and, game modes that sort of reflect what modern games are doing, but obviously with a Doom or, a Quake twist. So, I thought it was really awesome. And, I think it's important to reach out to people too, because I think we tend to forget, like, at least I did, like, because I've been around for so long, how shitty it is sometimes to try and get into a place that's new, and people are like, oh, I don't know who you are, I'm not going to talk to you. And so here it's just like, there's none of that going on. I mean, there's people join the server, and it really doesn't matter who you are. Someone says hi, like, anybody could answer. So I don't know. It's still got some work to do with, like, pickup games and stuff. We're still trying to work on that. I mean, people still play Doom, but as far as, like, what we do, it's harder for us because we're getting old now to be around all the time. But, I think it will lead to that. I think the more things that we do, the more people we bring in, it'll lead to more pickup games. But
the more people that end up in the server in general, the more talent you're going to see, and not just player wise. Like, you'll have people step up to say, like, hey, I'd like to, organize a tournament. And then you can just be like, all right, cool. And you can kind of keep your, hands in different baskets and guide people to, like, a product that you think is worthy of the MDF. Or, like, I'd like to make a promotion artwork for the podcast, or for, or for this, or, like, I'll edit the audio, or I'll stream the event and I'll cast it. And you'll get more and more of that, I think, over time.
Yeah.
And to your point, with players joining, and before not feeling welcomed in the keep, we had before we got over 100 players, we started off with saying, like, every admin will just, like, as soon as we saw a new person join, we just, like, welcome. Everybody would just, like, welcome. The drowned god Cathalla has been awaiting you. We've been waiting for you all along. Like, it's too many people join now for us to effectively be able to do that. We try to do it, once in a while, or for, like, groups of people, or if, like, a big name player joins in, we want to acknowledge that, and we want to bring attention to it. But yeah. So anyway,
I'll usually wait a little while now. Like, someone joins, I'm like, okay, I'll give them like 3 hours. They can look through the Discord, and then I'll click their name and see if they're still in there. If they're gone, then they're gone. But if they're here, I usually, someone usually says something. So.
Okay, so I think you were going on a little tangent before I so rudely cut you off about
no.
different modes, though, in the in your Discord. So you guys play. We got 3-wave CTF. We covered that. What other tournaments do you offer typically?
So once a month now, we've gotten this format down. It's an FFA tournament, and it was one of the more difficult ones to um, detail out and try and get, like, how do you really judge skill in an FFA tournament? So what we came up with, and it's been working really well, is we have groups of players. Like, typically, with the size of Doom maps, you wouldn't want to have like 10 people running around a tiny little thing, because that's not going to give you any skill. So we have groups of 5 or 6 players, and they'll play 2 maps, and they'll play them twice, and then the groups will change. So we'll try to handpick maps that fit the size of players that we're going to have in the tournament, and the maps change every tournament. So, with each group, you get a chance to play 2 maps twice, because the first time you're like, oh, maybe like near the end of the game, you found a weapon you didn't know was in the map. Mm-hmm. So then the second time around, you're like, all right, now I have a strategy. I kind of know what people were doing. Let me see if I can adjust. But then the groups swap. So it's a true FFA experience where you have to play with all different styles of players. So that's something that we do every single month, because that format it runs so easily. People are kind of used to it now. A lot of people will come in, maybe they'll play in one FFA tournament and they're like, oh, well, I got kind of destroyed by Devastation or Dragon or, whatever it is. And then they won't play again. But if they ever do, it's a once a month thing. It's been towards the end of the month now. So that's a big one that we do. We've done a lot of duel tournaments in the past. We've kind of gone through different kinds of duel tournaments, everything from old school maps to new school settings. And we haven't quite gotten to Quake Doom Edition yet, but that could be something that's coming.
You talk to Michaelis, do you know him?
I do. I know of him. I haven't talked to him.
Yeah, I've had a few online interactions with him.
Yeah.
But particularly when State of Quake published that Jahar episode, that's actually how I became aware of you and QCD and what's the other big Doom? Sir, it doesn't matter. Like
the
online multiplayer Doom, something
classic multiplayer.
Yeah, that server. Yeah, which I think Michaelis also runs. But yeah, super cool dude. But QCDE is particularly interesting to me. Like I don't even understand how that's a thing. It's so weird, and it's so much fun. Because I played Quake Champions far before I ever really knew anything about Zandronum or Doomseeker, any of that stuff. So when I booted up that game, I was like, what the fuck is this? It's so cool, and then the aspects of like all the crazy different. I guess they're still called champions in that game, but you have so many more options. You could be like Duke Nukem, and you could be Gordon Freeman. Basically, any Caleb, any FPS from the '90s you can think of, you can be that champion instead of just the id Software ones. And I thought that game was a really interesting contribution to the mod community.
It is. I mean, I tried to play it, I gotta say, just because, again, I'm so entrenched in the way that the Doom physics are, I suck at it. But I can see why it's so much fun. Like, so that's totally stuff like that, where it's like, he actually already has a lot of tournaments that he does for that, so I don't know if we would maybe go down that route without, like, involving him specifically, but that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy. I really strive to do, is like, okay, someone's got this really good idea. Maybe they might have a really good target audience, but I'd like to now that I have a little bit of an ego, I feel like a corporation where I'm like, well, let's see if we can absorb this person and use their skills to our advantage and their advantage.
Talking my language, man.
Yeah, so that's totally something that I'm down to try. But so, like, a lot of the different duel tournaments that we've done, like I said, different kinds of settings. We haven't done one in a while because we started off smaller scale. We were doing mostly one-day tournaments, and then we branched out into the month-long 3-way CTF right now we're in the middle of a team last man standing tournament. It's been a little bit extended because we're still getting the hang of like open scheduling and really not like getting on people to play their games. So, there are a few games that we have left to play, but so TLMS is a really interesting game mode that I've always enjoyed. And so this was like, to me, this was like the creme de la creme. Like this was what I wanted to run when we started the whole thing, but I wanted to get our feet under us first. So basically we have teams of 3 and you get 400 health, 200 armor, and you've got weapons, everything from the SSG, and they've also thrown in a railgun, a grenade launcher, a lightning gun. And so we've timed it. It's 5 minutes. The games don't last 5 minutes because everyone just attacks each other. Mm-hmm. But, so the games last 5 minutes. You got to get somebody down. You got to eliminate the entire other team, and you play a map to 3 wins. So you get a chance to like adjust. If the time happens to run out, it goes into sudden death, and your health slowly deteriorates. So then it forces you to like, all right, I got to make a move here depending on how much health you have. So it's really interesting. We haven't like quite scratched the surface of what we can do with that yet, but yeah, I mean, we've got like other things in the works. Team deathmatch. What else? Survival at some point. Survival is going to be a whole, and then just different mods that are like kind of strictly to Xandronum, like ghouls versus humans, which is I don't know too much about it, but and all these other little things. So I'm really open to trying anything. I think that's the best way to get people involved. It's like, what do I know? Like, why do I can't act like I have the answer to everything. So why don't we try this? It could work. It could be fun. Like there's no harm in doing it. Whereas maybe in the past, it's like, oh well, this thing isn't CTF, and this person is not good enough. So why are we even gonna listen to what they have to say? So I don't know. It's
go ahead. No. You finish. No, I insist.
I was just like, I don't even know what I was gonna say.
Do you guys? I guess your server in general is kind of against this, but do you get a lot of pushback from people that are like elitist, old school? Like these are not the maps that John Romero intended for us to play on, or that these game modes aren't. What this isn't real Doom. You get talked down to like that ever? Yeah. Or
well, not so much on like that specific old school type stuff. We get a lot of pushback because like I was saying, one of the reasons that we started this whole thing was to keep out people that have had this really shitty attitude towards other players for a long time, and we would just put up with them being sort of this internet troll type figure because we want to play with good players, and so they're necessary. We can't get rid of them just because they're an asshole. And so
fuck them.
we get pushback from those people because we've been around long enough now. My patience is below 0 for these people, and so we ban a lot of them. We keep out a lot of the people that for our own reasons, and a lot of people disagree with that method. They think it's like mature administration, and like, okay, maybe it is, but there's no way that the community is going to grow if we don't start to be more welcoming and inviting to new people. And if that means losing some of the fat, then that's what it means.
I struggle with that too. Like I really, and it's not even like we don't have any real dickwads, like true, just toxic people that I can think of. But occasionally, here's one. I'll talk about you, Hardly Salty, if you're listening to this. I love him, but like sometimes you end up with just like 2 players get into a bit of a spat or something like that, and then one of them thinks the other one should be banned, and vice versa. And I understand both sides of the story, and that's my problem. I'm not capable of just looking at it from one perspective. Like I just think that okay, what he did was wrong, and I'm not saying either person. I'm just saying like to each person, I would say probably the same thing. Like what you did was not okay, but also I understand why you did it, or where you were coming from in the moment when you said what you said, or something like that. And I can't bring myself to say like either one of you deserves to be banned. I just want to say work it out between the two of you, because but at the same time, if one person in particular is hindering everyone else's ability to have a good time, you can't keep that going. Even if they're a great like an elite player and they're have bajillions of fans or whatever, like you can't you can't support that in front of other people. You can't say like, well, he gets a pass even though he is clearly a complete dickwad just because they bring this many people to the server or whatever. And if people are going to leave with them because of a clearly asshole move, and it's hard to define what is an asshole move, I guess.
It is very hard to define that.
That's what sucks about deplatforming people would be, I guess, if you're going to take someone's ability to speak away or to just boot them from the server, you have to realize that that speaks volumes. What your action speaks to the whole community. So if you're just going to ban them willy-nilly for no reason, I can totally understand why people would be upset. But if they're actively causing people to not have a good time, don't support it. And I agree with you.
And yeah, believe me, I've in the past I've banned people for stupid reasons because I started playing when I was like 11 and whatever. But I've actually been able to draw a line, and I don't know if this happens so much in your community or if it happens so much in other communities. But with the lovely invention of social media, we have people that enjoy finding out your personal information and your personal social media pages, or taking pictures from Facebook and making memes or creating fake social media account. It's hilarious. Like I did it, but I didn't use someone's picture. I didn't even use like their real name. I just put quotes of things that they said. And they were ridiculous things, right? But what I didn't do was go into someone's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and like pull pictures from there. And to me, that's an invasion of privacy. And so that's where I would draw the line. So we have a lot of people that love to do that, and they think it's hilarious. Well, I don't think it's hilarious.
It's
so
not.
Fuck you.
If you're listening, if you do that, go fuck yourself.
Oh, if those people are still listening to this right now, I would be shocked.
No, I've heard horror stories. You have people like take pictures of like dudes' families, like this is your wife and daughter, and try to say like I'll murder them if you don't change your edit. Like, no,
yeah, really sick, mean
just
shit.
Disgusting.
And I'm like, if you don't like me that much, then why do you care if you're banned from my server?
That's the thing, is that they do care. They don't know how to handle it. If anyone out there sees like a MotherLoad Twitter, it's not me. That's not me. I don't know who that is, but they do not speak on my behalf.
Yeah, well, the problem I made was, my name is, I've met people in person. Mm-hmm. I don't think I was like really selective about who knew who I was and like what my name was. When Doomers would add each other on Facebook, it was just like, maybe you wouldn't find out who they were online until like months later, and they're like, oh shit, I didn't know that you were friends with me on Facebook or whatever. Yeah. So a lot of people just know each other's names, but with that comes the other side where it's like, okay, somebody didn't, take the pill this morning, and now they're going to go on and do whatever they do. So it's interesting. I have not experienced this anywhere else. I don't know if this is a thing that happens in other places, but it seems like it happens a lot in Doom. So, to me, that's just something that needs to stop. And if it means, that I lose 50 people that could play, then I'm gonna enjoy myself playing with 6 reasonable, nice people,
adults or mature people. Yeah,
right. So yeah, I mean it's interesting times in multiplayer Doom, but we're trying. I think you would have been really fascinated with how things were even 5 years ago, like just the way that. Just interesting, man.
I would have peaced out 100%. I would just peace out. I don't have any time for that kind of shit at all.
A lot of people did. A lot of people are gone. A lot of people that I really liked, that I considered like, there are people that I consider genuine friends through here that I've known forever, and then there are people that I I consider genuine friends that are just gone. I have no way of contacting them ever, and it's just weird. But a lot of people did that. A lot of people said, "Fuck this," this place sucks. They just stopped playing.
That sucks. But at the same time, like I said, if it got that toxic, I would absolutely do the same thing. Like, there's no way I could.
Yeah.
I have limited amounts of time, limited amounts of energy. I don't really take anything people say. I've been said, like, nasty shit has been said to me. I was told at one point by this dude, I don't really know the guy or whatever, but he said I was the reason why the genre was dying, and I was like, how? First of all, how? How did you equate that? How did you add up the numbers to figure that out? But okay.
Yeah, thank you for thinking of me, but explain that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. You can't take any of that shit personally. Just I think you're doing the right thing. You're handling it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. People will say, "Oh, well, here's this. He's bald or something." Like, just weird things where I'm like, "Okay, I have a large forehead, as you can clearly see, but my hair is pulled back in a bun. My hair is actually quite long." But it's just like weird things like that where you can't take it personally because you're like, what am I gonna do? Take a picture of myself and I don't care that much. I don't know. It's just it's interesting behavior. But continue. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, it's fine. I think I'm gonna let's axe that subject now. I'm tired of talking about toxic people.
Yeah, me too.
Get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I was watching you guys on YouTube the other day. Do you guys stream on Twitch, or is it just a primarily YouTube platform for events with you guys?
So we have a YouTube channel. We just started getting some people streaming for us. Mm-hmm. So I believe one thing was streamed on Twitch, and then the way that Twitch works is you can only download your own videos, and so we're trying to use YouTube as our one spot for everything.
That's good.
Yeah.
So when I was watching, I want to say it was the Team Last Man Standing tournament. I don't know if you were playing in it or whatever, but it's very interesting. The commentary team, I sent you a message to ask about it, but they do not have the ability to spectate health bars at all. They can't see what's going on in the game, and that I understand your explanation if you want to give it real quick, just so the audience knows what I'm talking about.
So when you spectate people, there's a status bar down there that you'll be able to see. If you're playing, you'll have your health and you'll have your ammo and all that stuff. But if you're spectating someone, you can't see that information, which totally makes sense. It's interesting for me to make this argument based on what we talked about earlier and the timing of the item. But so there was a thing where, people would spectate, I guess, and they'd say, "Oh, well, he only has like 7 health. You should attack him," or so stuff like that. So they kind of got rid of. I don't even know if it was ever a thing. It must have been. I don't really remember it, but yeah, I mean, so that's the reason why. But it makes it really difficult to cast. Like I was saying to you, I think it would be a good idea to have an option for, like, when you join a server, you're joining a server as a streamer.
Yeah.
And you can see all the information, so that way you can be like, oh, he's only got 5 shots left. Like, let's see what he's going to do with this, and you can kind of pontificate on what he's going to do. But yeah, it does. It makes it difficult to be able to sort of accurately describe what's happening.
I think that kind of play, just in general, even I'm not disparaging you for what you did to your community or whatever, but that's the kind of thing that people I don't think through when they exploit that, because online tournaments you can get away with a lot, even if it is on the Twitch stream. You could somebody's probably got the stream up trying to shout off like, well, as of 2 seconds ago they had this much health or whatever the hell.
Right.
But my point would be that if you get those guys on a LAN, they can't do that. So they're just gonna they're gonna crumble if that's what they depend on to win. So I don't know. That is really hard, especially event organizer wise. It's very difficult to draw a line in the sand, so to speak, on how do you mitigate that. I personally, I thought you guys still did a pretty good job of casting it, but it's just like I don't as a viewer, I don't I don't get what's going on necessarily. It just looks like dudes on a screen shooting each other. You should see the like Dusk right now. There's not even first person spectator tool in the game.
Really?
Yeah. Hopefully there will be within like maybe by the time this podcast comes out. I'm not sure. I really want it to be a thing, but spectator tools are so huge, and I think that the viewer experience for bringing in new players is huge.
Yeah.
So if you're you show your event on YouTube, some kid sees it, the way that the more immersed they can become in watching it, and the better that the casters can bring you into that world and explain what's going on and all of that, more likely the person's going to give the game a try, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's interesting because you are someone that's trying to understand what's going on from the outside, and like you said, it's just a bunch of people shooting each other. You can't even really figure out, okay, well, what's his, like, why is he just sitting there? Or like, what is his strategy behind it? And admittedly, again, to your credit, where you said, I don't think people think things through when they're, when they can exploit these things. It never crossed my mind that something like that was exploiting the game. But now that, again, you take a step back and you're like, okay, well, maybe I was wrong, so you're right. I mean, I think I don't know. It's tough though, because I mean, what do you do? Because how can you really say like the reason that people knew that it was happening with us was because we would stream our actual voice chats and our team chats through YouTube, like while the game was happening, so people could hear us communicating with each other while we were playing. So, like, how do you know that that's not happening with like 5 other people, or So it's really a hard thing. Like, unless even if you separated people, like it's just impossible to do. I mean, I guess it's like an honor thing.
But to separate, if you're going to separate people from on a team from being able to talk to each other, at that point, it's like, all right, we're in the weeds. Right. Yeah. You just gotta let people fuck up, and then when they get on the land, when they go to QuakeCon this year and they play in the big Doom tournaments, then they'll just not win, and that'll be that.
Right, and then you can have a big Doom gang of people come and beat you up because
just
whatever it is,
an army of just these decrepit old men playing Doom, wheeling over.
I've had carpal tunnel since I was 15. I've been old forever. Yeah,
I'll do the duck can and all that, the exercises to try to keep my wrist in good shape, and yoga even that helps. Just build in the stability muscles. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a hippie, I guess, in a way, but I take that shit so seriously. I would rather have my health than ever be an elite player. If that's what it takes to be a great player, I'm not willing to sacrifice it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I don't play nearly as much as I used to. I used to play like every day. Mm-hmm. Now I play maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks or something. So my hands have gotten better, but it's like if I play like some of our longer tournaments, if I'm sitting there for like 3 hours playing, by the end of it, I'm like, I can't even aim. I can't even. I just feel like I'm old. So yeah.
Let's talk about your player career a little bit. So. What was the very first game you ever played? Doesn't like not Doom, not first person shooter. If that was it, that's okay. But like, what was the first?
I think it was Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo.
God damn! So running theme on this show. Fucking Super Nintendo.
Really? Is that?
No one's a Sega guy. I was like, who's the Sega guy? Or I'll get somebody really old who's like, played an Atari 2600. maybe someday.
I mean, I had a Sega Dreamcast for as long as those things existed. So games on that, like there's a really good game called Legacy of Kain that was on the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's been I think it's been remade, but there are a lot of gems on that thing, and Crazy Taxi and the Sonic Adventures game. but yeah, I had cousins that we were. So I'm 7 years older. I have twin brothers that are younger than me, so I'm 7 years older than them. And
sounds like a nightmare.
They're fine now because they're 20, but for a while there it was a nightmare. But my cousins, I had two older cousins, and so they had Super Nintendo before me, so I would go over there and we'd play it was Super Nintendo, Super Mario Kart. And then even when the N64 came out, we play a lot of like Rampage and Double S and GoldenEye, of course. So
I love Rampage. The game's awesome.
Rampage is fun. I did not see the movie because I'm not sure how they could have made it into a movie.
I mean, it's pretty awful, but at the same time, it's giant monsters fighting each other.
Right.
So it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
The Rock, all that crap.
Yep. I mean, he's becoming like, he's just basically in everything, which is not a bad thing, really. But,
so
because I don't know who else you could have star in Rampage and make it be a watchable movie.
So you started off, playing Nintendo and stuff with your brothers, and then you must have been pretty young. Your dad got you into Doom, you said, at a very young age. So
yes, so he was playing Doom and Quake online, and so I used to sit there, the AOL dial-up, sit there and wait for the dial-up to connect, and then he'd play. And so he worked at this college, and he ran kind of like the mailroom there, and so it was a very small, like liberal arts college, and so all the staff, all the students got to know each other, and it was like the whole school played Doom, and they had this group of people that they took the president of the college and they put his face like in a map or on an imp or something, and they just created this thing where you had to go out and hunt and kill the president of the college, and that created this like huge controversy.
Oh, geez,
yeah. Yeah, and because it's like 1996 and pre-Columbine and all that stuff. So, but yeah, so my dad was the one that introduced me to Doom. So I was watching him play for a couple of years, probably from 96, 97s, from like 4 or 5,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And then did you play against him? Like, did you have your own computer and go back to back?
No, I didn't. Not yet. Like when I got my own computer, I started playing like Age of Empires online, and then probably like around 2003, I got my own computer, and so he actually found Z-Daemon, the port online. He googled like online Doom, and he found it. So he made an account, and then I made an account, and we kind of shared an account for a while. So I stole his nickname. He came up with HumanBones, not me.
Okay.
But so yeah, we would play against each other a little bit on Z-Daemon, and he played for a while. So so he was really the reason why I found it. Yeah.
And what point did you start playing competitively?
So yeah, CTF came out like 2004. So I think it was around that time that things got real. Like people really started paying attention to it. And so 2004, I was like 11 or 12. So I consider that to be, yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I consider that to be competitive. So yeah, it's been 15, 16 years. So I'm not sure what else I've played for as long as that.
And then that's really interesting that you kind of started playing Doom as a CTF player. Like, it's got to be a unique path. Most Doom players didn't start off playing CTF, I would imagine.
Well, there are a lot.
Was CTF in Doom or Quake first? Just so I'm clear.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I thought it was a Quake thing up until right now.
Could have been.
Now I've never questioned it until right now. Huh? Well, I'm sure
it could have been a Quake thing. Because
someone message me and clear that up if you hear this.
I have a memory of watching my dad. This is the only memory I have. And I know he was playing Quake, and I know we were playing Capture the Flag. So I feel like it was Quake first.
Okay.
And so then, it's weird because Doom was just DM and cooperative play up until CTF came out. And so that was really the big thing for the longest time because Z-Daemon didn't add new game modes. And so people were very, especially back then, people were very opinionated on old school versus new school play. So Skulltag, the other major port, had stuff like Last Man Standing, Team Last Man Standing. But, a lot of the purists and the people that considered themselves, elders of the community or whatever you want to say, they're like, oh, that, we're not playing Skulltag. We're just going to play this. So CTF was literally like the last game mode that Z-Daemon introduced to the public for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it just became like that was like I said earlier, the litmus test of who you are as a player and how good you are was capture the flag. So I think a lot of people now that play actually more than you would think started off CTF. Because that was the way to get involved with all the competitive players were playing CTF. So if you wanted to be a good player and you wanted to be a competitive player, you had to get good at CTF.
I did not know that. That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this show is I learned so much about like the history just by talking to people of how this all came together. And I read a lot too, and I just talking to people in game and stuff like that. But this is so rewarding to really get the full part. History is from the perspective of the person telling it. But yeah,
right.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of useless knowledge that I've collected over the last
man,
however long. Yeah, so
we'll talk again, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do your show, right? Multiplayer Doom
Absolutely.
Federation Radio Network, right?
Multiplayer Doom Federation Radio Network. Yeah, I really went.
Yeah.
For someone like me who struggles to get my words out, that was not the greatest choice for a podcast name. But yeah, absolutely. So I do it it's myself and Dewsome, who also runs the league with me. So we'll get you on when you have time.
Awesome,
thank you. Thank you for having me on. Hopefully I feel like we barely scratched the surface on a lot of things. So I would love to talk again.
Yeah, if I didn't have to go to work, I'd sit here for 3 hours, man. But I do have to go to work.
No worries.
All right. Take care, buddy.
You too. Talk to you later.
Mm-hmm. Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. I say that every time, and I'm never going to stop saying it unless I do, if I forget or something like that. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Point being, we got plugs for you. So first plug, and it's not really a plug. This is more just business, but I just want to let you guys know that this will be one of probably the last 2 episodes that we do that will be hosted on the State of Quake SoundCloud. We'll be moving on to our own host. I'm not sure what that host will be yet, but you will get that information in due time. Don't worry, you'll still get your In the Keep podcast at least bi-weekly is my goal, and that's going to be really fun to get out on our own and do our own thing. Next up, let's see, Cathalis Keep will soon have its own Patreon page that will be all of the cash that's donated to Patreon will go back into. And I want to be transparent about this. The podcast hosting and mastering will cost a little bit of cash. Better equipment for Spaced and I to do hosting events and to record the podcast, things like that. Hopefully we get our own server. We're really looking into getting our own Duskworld server as soon as that's made available to us. We're gonna invest in it, and we want to have like a permanent, maybe even a host of multiple different Dusk servers with the Cathalis Keep brand on it, so that we can host events and do things like that. And prize pools, if you want to play in those tournaments and you want to win money for it or anything like that, the prize pools will come directly out of the donations that we receive, if we receive any, and that's okay. If you don't want to donate, just feel free to just keep on listening. If you can't afford to give, whatever, it doesn't matter, man. I'm not going to do the whole Sam Harris thing right now. Definitely check out previous episodes. Go back through the catalog. The catalog will migrate with us to the new host, but for now, if you want to go back, check out, we got Violent Heart, we got Dots, we got C-Spool, we got Cygib, and more on the way. So definitely just if you like this show, if you like this episode, go give the others a listen, see if there's something that is for you. And if it's not, that's okay. Next, tell your friends. Just if you like, subscribe, all that good stuff, but just tell your friends about the show. If you like it, just the more people that know about it, the more better for everybody, in my opinion. Also, join the Keep if you haven't already. It's linked at the bottom, or it should be. Cathalis Keep, awesome place for all things arena first-person shooters, especially with the upcoming events that we have for Duskworld. Hope you guys get in on that, enjoy it, and join in on the conversation, because we love meeting new people. QuakeCon 2019, July 25th through the 29th. I'll be there. Violent Heart will be there. The whole Cathalis Keep crew will hopefully show up, and damn it, Spaced, if you're listening to this, you better show up, you motherfucker. I don't care what it takes. Let's see. Yeah, big news. Quake World Discord recently put out an @everyone message. QH LAN will it's official. QH Land 2019. It's gonna happen. Details pending. Hopefully, I'll have more information for you guys in the very near future. Going forward. Oh yeah, State of Quake. Yeah, State of Quake. Every Saturday they have events, and they're starting to do prize pools for those events. There are, I want to say, 3 different bracket style events that they sort of rotate through. So you've got Diamonds in the Rough or Gold and below. If you're just kind of starting out, want to get your feet wet, see what it's like to get into the competitive scene, definitely recommend Diamonds in the Rough. And then you've got, let's see, Blind Date 2v2s. Super fucking fun. One of the most fun events going around anywhere in the whole fucking world. That you get a random partner. You could be partnered up with someone as terrible as me, or you could get partnered up with, like, I don't know, like Brightly or Genic or someone amazing like that, and just wreck everyone and you know, get a feel for what it's like. That's an awesome event. And then the big one, the big mother of them all, is the Open Duel. The State of Pain Open Duel tournaments. Rafa won the last one. I think it was like $300-ish cash prize, something along those lines. Who cares, man? Just go watch them on Twitch. It's just great events. And then every Thursday, Slip hosts the State of Quake King of the Hill events. Those are, I think King of the Hill is the best way to just like dip your toe in, see what it's like to be competitive. Get some feedback, go back and, watch the VODs from the Twitch and just kind of like see what the analysts say about how you played and improve. And that's what King of the Hill is all about. And I think it's one of the most fun things you'll ever do. What's next? Master Arena. God damn it, I love Master Arena. If you like Unreal Tournament, you would probably fucking love Master Arena. I've already got a lot of great feedback. We did a little giveaway of some alpha keys. Like, I got a big load of alpha keys from those guys just to give out. But you can actually go to their Discord, which is in hashtag allied channels in the Keep, and get all the information you need. And they'll probably just give you an alpha key if you want one. That's how I got mine. And yeah, tournaments popping up. North America a little bit. We need more North Americans to play Master Arena, because like they're trying to provide for the community, but the community is like not aware of the game yet, and it's such a great game, and it's just an alpha, so I can't even imagine when we get to beta and actually the full release, how awesome that game's going to be. So yeah, Master Arena. Next thing on the docket, my boy Smango, the man, the myth, the legend, QuakeFans.net, KentuckyNerd.com, and most importantly, Full Tech Podcast, his recent episode of a retrospective of Half-Life. Just listen to it, man. It's one of my favorite. I'm comfortable saying it's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to, just because it's so funny listening to like this awesome, like, redneckish story about how he first got into it. It's so relatable to me, how he first got into Half-Life and PC gaming in general. And then also check out his reviews on YouTube for games and technology. Really good stuff. Next on the docket, I'm going to say that a lot. QuakeCast. I love those guys. Dump Truck and RC, Quake mapping community guys. Just an awesome podcast. They did an episode with KillPixel, who's working on Wrath, Aeons of Ruin. Didn't pronounce it correctly, but you get the idea. They're great. Next podcast on the docket would be we just talked about them. We just talked to them. Multiplayer Doom Federation Radio Network on YouTube. Also, their events are on YouTube. Check them out. Quake Crew, Sacrifice Sundays, Sack Sundays. It's not really like a tournament or anything. It's just like, if you like playing Sacrifice and Quake Champions, that's the best time to do it. Every Sunday, just jump in there with Killer Duke and Killer Nukem, two of the long time relationship. Talking to those guys, they're just awesome. Like, they're so cool, and you should go play Sacrifice with them and their whole crew, because it's the whole gigantic, enormous Quake crew that they are. Juggernauts of the Quake Champions community. Definitely recommend that one. 40 Lions Den, bracket style tournaments every Friday night. If you want to get your name out there, you got to win 40's Den. Like, seriously, it's awesome. Check that out on 40's stream on Twitch. And then Jahar, Tasty Spleen. I already mentioned Jahar earlier, but seriously, man, if you're not watching Tasty Spleen streams, you're not living your best AFPS life. Definitely do that. And then Civi11, Civi11 on YouTube. Check out his game reviews. They're first-person shooter generally. I mean, not always, but like all the classics. You get all the build engine games like Let's see. Shadow Warrior Blood. He even does like Postal, Doom, all that stuff. Just and hilarious, well edited, just wonderfully entertaining videos. I watch them at work all the time. Civvy11 on YouTube. Last thing, man, if you know somebody who makes excellent craft beer, tell them to send me free beer because I totally want to drink it and review it on the podcast and tell everybody how great it is. Love you guys. Have a great fucking week and see you next time. Later.